mystery of Marshall Iwasa. Marshall Iwasa was 26 years old when he disappeared under circumstances that continue to baffle investigators, his family, and the public. He was last seen on the 17th of November, 2019, in Lethbridge, Alberta. That evening, Marshall drove down from Calgary to his mother's home, where he spent time helping her with technology issues. He left around 11 o'clock at night, telling her that he was heading back to Calgary. What unfolded after that moment has remained one of Canada's most unsettling modern mysteries. Instead of driving home, Marshall went to a local storage facility in Lethbridge. Records indicate that he attempted to access his unit during the overnight hours, but the facility was locked until 6 o'clock in the morning. For nearly 7 hours, his activity showed he was attempting to get inside. When the gates opened, Marshall successfully entered the locker, but appeared to remain there until approximately 8:30 in the morning. Nothing is believed to have been removed, not even camping gear that was stored inside. After that, Marshall vanished without a trace. 6 days later, on the 23rd of November, hikers in British Columbia stumbled upon a burnt-out truck deep in the mountains near Pemberton, more than 1,000 kilometers away from Lethbridge. The vehicle belonged to Marshall. It had been set ablaze on a remote logging road, one so rough and hidden that only four-wheel drive vehicles could reach it. The site was unusual, not only for its inaccessibility, but also for the strange scattering of belongings. Clothing lay strewn about, along with personal items like an expired passport, multiple smashed phones linked to Marshall, and the empty shells of gaming consoles that did not even belong to him. Other crucial belongings, including his backpack, laptop, wallet, contact lenses, and his pearl-colored Samsung Galaxy S6 phone, were nowhere to be found and have never resurfaced. The trail itself is not one that a casual traveler would stumble upon. It does not appear on GPS maps, and very few outside the local logging community would even know of its existence. Marshall had no known ties to Pemberton, no friends in the area, and no reason to be there. The strangeness of the location deepens the mystery of how he ended up in such a remote part of British Columbia. Further complicating the case was the discovery that Marshall had not been attending classes at the Southern Alberta Institute of Technology in Calgary, despite his family believing he was enrolled for the full semester. This was only uncovered after his disappearance, leaving those closest to him shocked and uncertain about what he may have been keeping to himself. Despite this, his family, particularly his sister in Hawaii, insisted that he was not the kind of person to simply vanish or cut ties. He had always been close to them, and while he might dodge questions, he would not lie outright. The official handling of the case has drawn criticism. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police did not classify the situation as criminal, even though the circumstances were highly unusual. The site of the fire was not thoroughly tested for months, despite pleas from Marshall's family. Many of the items recovered have not been publicly confirmed as tested, and results have not been shared with his loved ones. The case has since been passed to the Lethbridge Police Service, yet it is still not officially considered criminal in nature. Search efforts in both Lethbridge and Pemberton have yielded no evidence of Marshall himself. There are no confirmed sightings, no surveillance video of him or his truck leaving Lethbridge, and no record of him travelling the 1,100 kilometres between the two locations. His financial activity stopped 2 days before his disappearance, which makes the long journey even harder to explain. Marshall's case is not isolated. Other men have vanished in the same region under similarly strange circumstances. Some of their vehicles also found abandoned or burnt. Names like Daniel Rioch, Luke Neville, Richard Skerr, Ryan Provencher, Ryan Stuker, and Ben Tyner are part of a troubling pattern that has caused concern throughout the region. While 2 of those men have been found, most remain missing, leaving their families with the same devastating uncertainty that Marshall's family endures. Years later, Marshall Iwasa's disappearance continues to haunt those who knew him. His family has pushed tirelessly for answers, insisting that the circumstances point to something far more complex than a voluntary absence. Yet without clear evidence, they remain trapped in the agonizing space between hope and despair. The mountains of British Columbia and the flatlands of Alberta hold secrets still untold, leaving the story of Marshall Iwasa an enduring and painful mystery. The mysterious resurfaced Project Blue Book UFO. In recent weeks, an extraordinary black and white photograph has resurfaced online, captivating researchers with its eerie clarity. The image, now viral on social media, depicts a massive cylindrical object suspended high above the Earth, surrounded by clouds. Unlike conventional aircraft, the mysterious craft possesses no wings, no tail, and no identifiable propulsion system. Along its underside, 6 distinct openings or windows can be seen, details that have sparked waves of speculation about its origin and purpose. The story attached to this photograph is as compelling as the image itself. It was allegedly taken from a C-130 military aircraft flying an anti-submarine patrol out of Lajes Air Base on Terceira Island in the Azores, Portugal. According to accounts, the photograph was captured as the aircraft climbed through 28,000 feet. The crew reported that the object appeared suddenly, moving alongside their plane with uncanny precision. They claimed it matched their speed effortlessly before shifting its trajectory, diving through the clouds with the grace of a shark gliding through water and disappearing from sight. For decades, the photograph was hidden from public view, its existence obscured under official secrecy. Project Blue Book, the United States Air Force's investigative body dedicated to studying unidentified aerial phenomena, did acknowledge the photograph, but dismissed it in their records. Their conclusion stated that the image was simply a fabricated optical illusion, describing it as nothing more than a cutout drawing superimposed on a print during a supposed scientific study of UFOs. This explanation, however, has not satisfied researchers or enthusiasts, especially given the consistent testimony from the C-130 crew. The details of the object itself remain one of the most compelling aspects of the case. The smooth, cylindrical shape bears no resemblance to any known aircraft of the 1950s or 60s, nor does it match the profile of experimental designs from that era. The 6 window-like openings along its side suggest a structured, manufactured craft, raising questions about its builders and intended use. Furthermore, the absence of visible propulsion or control surfaces defies the aerodynamic requirements of human technology at that time. What makes this resurfaced photograph particularly mysterious is the way it seems to challenge both the limitations of mid-20th century aviation and the official attempts to explain it away. If the image were truly an optical fabrication, it is puzzling why it remained concealed for so long and why accounts from the crew align with what the photograph depicts. The consistency of testimony and imagery points to something far more extraordinary than a simple photographic trick. Today, as the photograph circulates across digital platforms, new generations are encountering it for the first time, bringing fresh eyes and fresh questions to a mystery buried for over 60 years. The strange Göbekli Tepe symbol. At Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey, one of the most mysterious archaeological sites in the world, stands Pillar 28 in Enclosure C. On its surface, carved with deliberate precision thousands of years ago, is a mysterious symbol. Though much of the site remains undeciphered, this single mark has drawn attention because of its striking resemblance to a sacred motif found on the chest of a Wogaya elder, a senior lawman from Northern Territory, Australia. Photographed in the early 20th century, the Wogaya figure bears a sacred design across his chest that appears almost identical to the engraving at Göbekli Tepe. The two images, separated not only by continents but also by vast spans of time, suggest a possible connection that many mainstream scholars argue cannot exist. For anthropologists, the idea that civilizations from Mesopotamia and northern Australia could have shared a symbolic language stretches beyond accepted models of history. Yet the resemblance is undeniable. The precision of the carving on the pillar and the ceremonial placement of the mark on the chest of the Wogaya lawman both indicate deep spiritual or cultural significance. The site itself dates back over 11,000 years, predating Stonehenge by millennia. Built by hunter-gatherer societies, it challenges assumptions about when organized religion and monumental construction began. The Wogaya, meanwhile, represent one of the oldest continuous cultural traditions on Earth. The symbols in both contexts are linked to ritual, knowledge, and connection to the mysteries of creation. Whether coincidence or evidence of something more profound, their similarity calls into question how much modern society truly understands about early human communication. The possibility of shared knowledge or memory passed through oral traditions across vast distances cannot be ignored. While direct contact between Anatolia and northern Australia in ancient times may be considered impossible by conventional standards, these symbols hint at something that transcends geography. They may represent universal archetypes, shapes and ideas embedded in the human consciousness, or they may point to forgotten chapters of global prehistory where knowledge travelled farther than previously believed. What remains certain is that the carvings and the sacred markings of the Wargaya Elder echo across time and space. They remind us that the ancient world held mysteries far beyond modern comprehension. The connection between these symbols serves as a silent challenge to rethink the past and to accept that human history may hold deeper, more interconnected truths than we have yet allowed ourselves to see. Thousands of stone circles found in the Sahara Desert. The Sahara Desert, often imagined as an endless expanse of sand and shifting dunes, still conceals traces of an ancient world beneath its surface. Long before the desert became the arid landscape it is today, it was fertile, green, and capable of supporting thriving communities. Over thousands of years, the winds and sands of the Sahara have hidden the remains of this forgotten past, preserving thousands of mysterious stone circles, enclosures, and settlements that continue to puzzle researchers. Among the most remarkable discoveries is Nabta Playa, located in southern Egypt. Here, vast stone circles and alignments have been uncovered, dating back thousands of years. These formations reveal knowledge of astronomy and seasonal cycles, demonstrating that the people of the Sahara were not only skilled builders, but also observers of the skies. Farther west, the Senegambian stone circles stretch across parts of Senegal and Gambia. These monumental structures, made of massive upright stones, represent one of the largest concentrations of megaliths on Earth. Their sheer number and scale suggest that a highly organized society once flourished in a land that today appears inhospitable. Modern technology has brought these forgotten landscapes into focus once again. Satellite imaging and advanced three-dimensional radar have revealed that beneath the dunes lie networks of roads, ancient settlements, and structures that were lost for millennia. These discoveries show that the Sahara was once crisscrossed with pathways and dotted with communities, challenging long-held assumptions about human history in North Africa. The stone circles and enclosures are not isolated curiosities, but evidence of a vast cultural landscape shaped by people who adapted to the environment during a greener era. The mystery that continues to intrigue researchers is not just how these monuments were built, but how many more remain concealed beneath the sand. Each new discovery forces historians to reconsider the depth and complexity of civilizations that thrived in the Sahara before it transformed into a desert. The stone circles, in particular, hint at rituals, gatherings, and social systems that remain largely unknown, leaving modern scholars with fragments of a much greater story. Even today, the Sahara continues to guard its secrets, keeping thousands of sites hidden beneath layers of sand. These ancient stone constructions stand as silent reminders of a time when the desert was alive with human activity, agriculture, and culture. As technology peels back the layers of time, the Sahara is slowly revealing its past, offering glimpses of a history that reshapes our understanding of early civilizations. The mysterious Wayne County photograph. In Wayne County, a quiet rural neighborhood became the setting for a strange mystery that left residents uneasy. For several weeks, homeowners noticed that items were vanishing from their yards during the night. From tools to small objects left outside, the disappearances grew frequent enough to draw concern. One family, fearing their property might be next, decided to install security cameras. 2 devices were placed strategically on opposite sides of their house, ready to capture whoever or whatever was moving through the area. What they discovered a few days later would spark endless speculation. One of the cameras recorded an image unlike anything the homeowners expected. Instead of a prowler or intruder, the picture revealed a strange figure. It appeared to be small in stature, standing upright, with an almost translucent quality under the glow of the night camera. The form looked humanoid, but details of its clothing were unsettling. It seemed to wear garments from another era, old-fashioned in style, and something covered its head in a manner not seen in modern dress. The eerie appearance suggested not a trespasser from the present, but perhaps a remnant of the past. Adding to the mystery, there are no children living within 2 miles of the property. This fact eliminated the most logical explanation, that perhaps a local child wandered too close to the home during the night. For those familiar with the yard and the property, the figure appeared wholly out of place. The image was reviewed directly from the security camera by close friends of the family, leaving no doubt about its authenticity. The photograph was not altered or staged. It was simply a snapshot of something that should not have been there. Locals have described an uncanny feeling when looking at the image. Some believe it captures evidence of a spirit, bound to the land and appearing through the camera lens. Others suggest it may be a sign of something stranger, a glimpse of the unexplained that surfaced in a moment of chance. Whatever the truth may be, the photograph from Wayne County has become a lasting source of intrigue. In a community where peace and routine once reigned, a single late-night image opened a doorway into mystery, leaving behind more questions than answers. Million-year-old skull rewrites human history. In the world of science, few discoveries have the power to shift the entire timeline of humanity's story. Yet the unearthing and reanalysis of a skull known as Yunxian 2 in China has done precisely that. Dating back around 1 million years, this fossil has shaken the foundations of what was once thought certain about human origins. Long believed to belong to Homo erectus, the early ancestor recognized for its large brain and upright posture, Yunxian 2 has now been reclassified. Careful analysis reveals it as part of a far more advanced lineage, potentially rewriting the timeline of when our own species, Homo sapiens, began to emerge. The skull was excavated in Hubei province alongside 2 others, but for decades, the remains were crushed and distorted, obscuring their true form. Using computer modeling and 3-dimensional reconstruction, scientists restored the fossils to their original appearance. When viewed in this way, Yunxian 2 no longer fit the expected profile of Homo erectus. Instead, it bore striking similarities to Homo longi, a sister species on the same evolutionary level as both Neanderthals and early Homo sapiens. This conclusion pushes the emergence of large-brained humans back at least 500,000 years earlier than previously accepted. If Yunxian 2 indeed represents Homo longi, it means that around 1 million years ago, 3 advanced human groups, Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and Homo longi, already walked the Earth together. Rather than evolving much later, our species may have existed during this deep time period, living alongside and perhaps interacting with our sister lineages. The implications are extraordinary. For decades, the earliest firm evidence of Homo sapiens dated to around 300,000 years ago in Africa. The Yunxian discovery extends this timeline dramatically, suggesting that our species' roots may stretch back 1 million years. This change offers solutions to the so-called muddle in the middle, a phrase used by scientists to describe the confusing fossil record of human remains between 800,000 and 100,000 years ago. Many skulls from this period defy neat classification, but if Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and Homo longi were all present so early, those difficult fossils may represent branches of one of these 3 groups or their immediate ancestors. The research also sheds light on how diverse and interconnected human evolution truly was. According to the study's co-leader, Professor Shijun Ni of Fudan University, human evolution is best seen as a tree with multiple branches rather than a single straight line. Each branch, Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, Homo longi, and others like Heidelbergensis, coexisted for nearly 1 million years, occasionally interbreeding and exchanging traits. This vision paints a far more complex picture of humanity's past, one where several advanced species shared the planet, influencing one another and shaping the destiny of modern humans. Not all experts agree entirely, as uncertainties in dating methods and classification still remain. However, the convergence of both physical skull analysis and genetic data in this study strengthens the claim. Independent reviews have supported the conclusion that Yunxian 2 represents a more advanced human than Homo erectus, and the excitement among researchers is palpable. The discovery redefines our place in time. It suggests that our species' origins may not only be older, but also more widespread, spanning both Asia and Africa, rather than being confined to one location. The skull of Yunxian 2 stands as a reminder that the story of humanity is far from complete, and with each new finding, the past becomes richer, more mysterious, and infinitely more fascinating. The mystery of Charles Hickson. Charles Hickson embraced the fame that surrounded him following his disclosure about an encounter with an unidentified flying object and its occupants 4 decades ago along the shores of the Pascagoula River. Despite the attention, even up to his passing in 2011, Hickson remained steadfast in recounting his experience to all willing to lend an ear. His unwavering commitment to sharing his account showcased his resolute belief in the authenticity of the event that forever altered his life. Calvin Parker Jr., who was alongside another individual during one of the most notable UFO incidents in American history, continues to grapple with the extraordinary encounter he claims involved strange grey beings with crab-like claws that he believes hailed from another realm. Recalling the unsettling events of October 11, 1973, he emphasizes how this incident drastically altered the course of his life. Despite the passage of time, the memories of this encounter haunt him, leaving a lasting impact that he struggles to reconcile with his reality as he remains steadfast in his assertion about the unearthly visitation. Parker expressed his apprehension to the Associated Press as the 40th anniversary of the incident neared, emphasizing his strong reluctance towards the unfolding events. He articulated his sentiment, indicating a deep aversion to the situation at hand. Parker found himself deeply unsettled by the overwhelming surge of unwanted focus, as reporters and individuals intrigued by UFOs inundated Walker Shipyard, the workplace of both Parker and Hickson. Over the years, he made continuous efforts to avoid public attention, frequently relocating to various places before eventually coming back to the Gulf Coast of Mississippi in recent times. The event captured significant media attention, triggering a surge of UFO reports across the country and emerging as a highly scrutinized incident in history. Doubters varied from the initial law enforcement officers who interacted with the individuals to an author intent on debunking the tale, while Parker himself grappled with conflicting beliefs regarding whether he encountered extraterrestrial beings or supernatural entities. The widespread notoriety of this occurrence extended beyond mere curiosity, prompting intense investigation and debate as various voices, including skeptics and believers, offered their interpretations. Parker was just 18 at the time when he joined Hickson for a fishing excursion on a serene Thursday evening following their work commitments. As they cast their fishing lines repeatedly, hoping for a catch but without success, the two individuals were taken aback when they witnessed an unidentified flying object adorned with mesmerizing blue lights swiftly descending from the sky. In his account, Hickson, who was 42 years old at the time, detailed an encounter where 3 entities possessing leathery grey skin and crab-like claws, initially mistaken for robots, grasped their forearms and floated them onto the extraterrestrial vessel. He vividly described an eerie moment when a large, floating, eye-like object seemed to scrutinize him. This extraordinary event left him bewildered and filled with a mix of fear and curiosity. Parker claims awareness despite physical immobilization. He explained that they conducted a comprehensive assessment on him, just as any medical practitioner would do. The examination they performed was incredibly meticulous, leaving no stone unturned in their evaluation process. After returning to the shore, the starting point of their strange encounter, the UFO had vanished, leaving Parker and Hickson bewildered. Parker made an effort to gather their thoughts, while Hickson, visibly shaken, resorted to consuming 3 stiff drinks from a bottle stashed in his car to steady his nerves before mustering the courage to recount the extraordinary incident to authorities. Throughout this unsettling experience, the duo found themselves grappling with a range of emotions, from confusion and fear to a lingering sense of disbelief. At the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, deputies initially entertained the suspicion that both individuals might have been under the influence of alcohol. Former Captain Glenn Ryder, who remains employed at the sheriff's office to this day, recalled chuckling at the initial report, but proceeded to conduct a meeting with the 2 men. Parker and Hickson remained steadfast in their account of the events, unwavering in their insistence on the truth. Following the formal interview, deputies decided to leave Hickson and Parker alone in a room, strategically concealing a tape recorder with the intention of potentially capturing any inconsistencies in their accounts. This tactic was implemented to meticulously scrutinize the veracity of their statements and unravel any potential deceit. After concluding their discussion, my fellow investigator and I quietly excused ourselves, allowing the individuals to converse freely. Our intention was to observe whether their dialogue would reveal a sense of satisfaction in deceiving us, as if they had successfully misled us. However, to our surprise, they displayed genuine concern and authenticity in their interactions, indicating a genuine sense of worry or unease. In the recorded conversation, Hickson conveys to Parker his overwhelming fear, saying the following: "It scared me immensely as well. The impact of such an experience is enduring. One cannot simply move past it over a lifetime. May Jesus Christ show us mercy." Ryder expressed his bewilderment, stating, "I lack knowledge of their fate. Despite my absence during the incident, one thing is certain. Genuine fear cannot be fabricated, and they were undeniably consumed by fear. It was an overwhelming emotion that gripped them tightly." The following day, the narrative made headlines on the front pages of newspapers in both Pascagoula and Gulfport. This sudden exposure turned Pascagoula into a focal point for journalists and individuals researching unidentified flying objects. The fascination with unidentified flying objects gained momentum during the 1940s, catalyzed by a notable event in Roswell, New Mexico. According to UFO enthusiasts, this incident involved the recovery of a crashed UFO and the retrieval of alien bodies by the government. Despite fervent beliefs and theories surrounding this occurrence, the official government stance for many years was one of steadfast denial. Following the Hickson-Parker incident in South Mississippi, the local authorities were inundated with a multitude of reports in the ensuing 2 weeks. The mystery of the Sea People. The 12th century before Christ stands out as one of the most turbulent and mysterious chapters in the history of civilization. During this time, the known world of the Bronze Age experienced a dramatic collapse. Great empires that had stood for centuries, mighty city-states, complex kingdoms, and thriving trading powers were brought to ruin. Palaces crumbled, trade networks vanished, and literacy in many places was lost. The only centralized power to survive the catastrophe with its sovereignty intact was Egypt. Historians today call this catastrophic event the Late Bronze Age collapse, a period that ushered in centuries of hardship and decline, known in Greece as the Dark Ages. For generations, the reasons behind this sudden downfall remained hidden, leaving scholars puzzled. When Egyptian hieroglyphs were finally deciphered in modern times, however, a remarkable record was uncovered. It spoke of terrifying raiders from the sea, a mysterious confederation of peoples remembered simply as the Sea People. Over 2,000 years before the Vikings swept from Scandinavia to harass the shores of medieval Europe, the great empires of the Bronze Age faced their own seafaring adversaries. Egyptian inscriptions describe vast armies descending from the sea in heavily armed ships, striking terror into all who stood before them. They devastated cities along the coasts of the Mediterranean, toppled kingdoms, and nearly erased entire cultures from the map. The Egyptian records, written with apocalyptic intensity, tell of battles against these foes that seemed almost otherworldly. They were described as giants and monsters of the deep, surging out of the Mediterranean waters to wage war on humanity itself. When Egyptian soldiers later investigated, they found long lines of footprints pressed into the sand, as if entire armies had risen directly from the sea. The devastation wrought by the Sea People was not confined to myth or rumor. Today, archaeologists have uncovered vast destruction layers across the eastern Mediterranean dating from the same era. Once prosperous cities like Ugarit in Syria, Hattusa in Anatolia, and countless others were reduced to ashes. The pattern is too widespread and too sudden to be explained by coincidence. Egyptian inscriptions, art carved into temple walls, and fragments of correspondence from the Hittites and Assyrians all confirm the overwhelming reality of the Sea People and their attacks. For many researchers, the weight of evidence is impossible to dismiss, even if the identity and origins of these raiders remain shrouded in mystery. Egyptian accounts provide the most detailed glimpses into this mysterious confederation. Pharaoh Meremptah, who ruled at the end of the 13th century before Christ, recorded one of the earliest encounters. In the 5th year of his reign, around the year 1209 before Christ, he described how Libyan leaders allied with foreign seafarers to invade the Nile Delta. Meremptah claimed victory, boasting of defeating thousands of them and naming their tribes: the Shurdan, the Denyen, the Luka, the Peleset, the Shekelesh, the Tursha, and the Akawasha. These names echo across inscriptions and remain key to tracing the identities of the Sea People. To Meremptah, they were formidable foes who tested the strength of Egypt itself. A generation later, during the reign of Ramesses III, the Sea People unleashed their greatest wave of attacks. Around the year 1170 before Christ, they surged across the Mediterranean, toppling towns from Anatolia and Cyprus through the Levant. Ramesses described them as laying waste to entire regions, leaving cities empty and desolate as though they had never existed. The pharaoh prepared Egypt for its most desperate battle. Along the Nile Delta, he arranged his forces, creating ambushes along the shorelines. His inscriptions at Medinet Habu, one of the most vivid historical records of the ancient world, show warships clashing in chaotic battle. Egyptian archers rained volleys of arrows upon enemy vessels, while fire engulfed ships in the harbours. On land, his armies fought the invaders in brutal encounters, finally defeating them in the year 1178 before Christ. Despite their defeat, the question remains, who were the Sea People, and where did they come from? Archaeological and linguistic clues suggest they may have originated from multiple regions, bound together in a loose confederation. The Sherdan, for instance, may have originated in northern Syria before later settling in Sardinia. The Teresh and Lucca are thought to have come from western Anatolia. The Denyen and Ekwesh appear in Hittite records, and some scholars believe they may have been connected to the Achaean Greeks of the Aegean. Others suggest the Peliset, one of the most prominent groups mentioned, were the same people later remembered as the Philistines in biblical accounts. The possibility that the Philistines were descendants of the Sea People is supported by evidence of Aegean-style pottery and architecture found in their settlements along the coastal plain of Canaan. This theory suggests that after their defeat, Ramesses III allowed them to settle in these territories, creating a legacy that endured for centuries. Yet other theories abound. Some argue they were displaced Trojans, scattered after the fall of their city to Greek invaders. Others suggest they were migrants forced from their homes by famine or natural disaster, turning to raiding and conquest as a means of survival. What is clear is that their arrival coincided with widespread collapse across the Bronze Age world. The interconnected trade networks that bound together Egypt, the Hittites, the Mycenaeans, and others fell apart. Literacy disappeared in many places, leaving centuries of silence in the historical record. The Sea People, whether as conquerors or displaced wanderers, played a central role in this collapse. Their attacks destabilized regions already weakened by drought, internal strife, and shifting political alliances. Egyptian records describe them in almost supernatural terms. Their sudden appearances from the sea, their strange clothing and weaponry, and their uncanny power left an impression of beings who were not merely human adversaries. Some descriptions even speak of their immense size and monstrous qualities, giving rise to theories that ancient people may have viewed them as more than flesh and blood. These accounts, combined with the discovery of unusual artifacts and footprints, add a chilling layer to their mystery. The pharaohs who recorded their victories over the Sea People, Ramesses II, Meremptah, and Ramesses III, all recognized the seriousness of the threat. Ramesses II, known as one of Egypt's greatest rulers, described employing some of them as mercenaries in his own army, suggesting that not all encounters were hostile. Yet even he acknowledged their role as allies of the Hittites, demonstrating the fluid loyalties of the time. Meremptah, in contrast, saw them as existential enemies, recording with pride his triumph over their alliance with the Libyans. Ramesses III, finally, faced them in their greatest strength, and his inscriptions are filled with images of fire, arrows, and wrecked ships, portraying a battle that determined the very survival of Egypt. After their defeat by Ramesses III, the Sea People faded from history. Some were absorbed into new homelands, perhaps in Canaan or other regions of the Levant. Others may have dispersed across the Mediterranean, merging into emerging cultures of the early Iron Age. Yet their disappearance is as sudden as their arrival. In the centuries that followed, no further inscriptions speak of them, leaving their final fate to speculation. What remains undeniable is their impact. The Sea People played a decisive role in the collapse of the Bronze Age, reshaping the course of history. The civilizations that had defined the Eastern Mediterranean for centuries vanished, replaced by new powers that rose from the ashes. The Greek Dark Ages eventually gave way to the rise of classical Greece, while in the Levant, new kingdoms emerged, including Israel. Egypt itself survived, but the cost of the wars drained its resources, leading to internal unrest and the first recorded labor strike in history, when tomb builders refused to work until they were paid. The mystery of the Sea People continues to captivate historians and the public alike. Their origins remain uncertain, their motivations debated, and their legacy clouded. Were they desperate migrants fleeing disaster, mercenaries seeking plunder, or a coalition of displaced nations banded together for survival? Were they the Philistines, Trojans, or even remnants of forgotten peoples whose stories are lost? Whatever the truth, the Sea People were real, and their shadow stretches across the ruins of the late Bronze Age world. For over 3,000 years, their story has remained one of the most haunting mysteries of antiquity. Egyptian inscriptions, carved deep into stone, preserve their memory in vivid detail, ensuring they will never be forgotten. They were an unstoppable wave from the sea, sweeping away the civilizations of their age, leaving behind ruins and questions. Their origins may remain hidden, but their impact is written into the very foundations of history. The Sea People were more than raiders. They were agents of transformation, marking the end of one age and the beginning of another. The Sea People remain a chilling reminder of how fragile civilizations can be, and how easily even the greatest empires can fall to forces beyond their understanding. They emerged from the sea, altered the course of human history, and disappeared, leaving behind a mystery that endures to this day. The strange case of Sarah Ebersole. On the 3rd of March, 2023, the Marion County Sheriff's Office reported 28-year-old Sarah Ebersole missing. What began as an ordinary night quickly turned into a case that has puzzled investigators for more than 2 years. Despite countless hours of searching and reviewing evidence, the question of what happened to Sarah remains unresolved, leaving her family and the community desperate for answers. Sarah's last known movements were traced back to the evening of the 2nd of March, 2023. She was given a ride from a convenience store to a residence located at North US Highway 441 in Reddick. The home was a subdivided property. One half of the residence was occupied by James Robinson, while the other half was shared by James Schaller and Tisha McDermott. Sarah and Robinson were both dropped off at the property, setting the stage for the chain of events that followed. In the early morning hours of the 3rd of March, at precisely 1:24 in the morning, Robinson began texting an individual named Mormon. Through these messages, Robinson made it known that Sarah was present at his home. The conversation turned to whether Sarah might be interested in meeting Mormon, and shortly after, Mormon asked if he could come to the residence. Robinson agreed, and Mormon arrived not long after, driving a blue 2017 Hyundai Sonata. From this point forward, the timeline becomes critical to the mystery. Detective Ryan Stith, who is leading the investigation, confirmed that surveillance footage later placed Sarah and Mormon together at a 24-hour convenience store in northwest Marion County during the very early hours of that same morning. This sighting is the last confirmed record of Sarah's whereabouts. After leaving the store with Mormon, she vanished without further trace. Mormon has since been named a person of interest in the case. While his connection to Sarah's disappearance has not been fully determined, his refusal to speak with detectives has left many questions unanswered. Investigators remain focused on piecing together the events of that night, but without additional cooperation, the truth remains elusive. 2 years later, the Sheriff's Office continues its work, determined to bring clarity to the case. Sarah's disappearance is more than a mystery. It is a deeply human story of a young woman whose life was interrupted, leaving her loved ones searching for closure. The timeline, the people involved, and the unanswered questions all point to a night where something went terribly wrong, but the exact nature of those events remains hidden. The case of Sarah Ebersole stands as a somber reminder of how quickly lives can change. Her name remains with investigators, written in reports and etched in memory as they continue their search for the truth. For the community, the mystery endures, carrying with it both sadness and hope that one day the missing pieces will finally come together. The mystery of Sean Dickerson. Sean Dickerson was only 23 years old when his life took an unexpected and mysterious turn. Known as a talented musician and a kind-hearted young man, he had dreams of moving to New York City with his close friend and former high school girlfriend, Angeli Droll. Sean had recently been hired at a men's clothing store called Rolo in San Francisco, where he was working hard to save money for his future plans. He played keyboard for a local band called Feye, blending his love of music with his responsibilities, and was surrounded by friends and a supportive family. His disappearance in December of 2011 left a void that has never been filled and continues to raise troubling questions. On the 1st of December 2011, Sean went to work as usual. That day, he had a review with his employer and was handed his paycheck, which was issued in cash since he did not have a bank account at the time. Around 1 in the afternoon, Sean left for his lunch break, but never returned to finish his shift. His employer, concerned by his absence, tried to reach out to him throughout the day. It was not until nearly 11:30 that night that Sean finally responded. In a message, he apologized for failing to return to work. His boss reminded him that his position required reliability and warned him that his job could be at risk if this pattern continued. That evening, Sean spent time with his roommates, chatting casually until about 4 in the morning on the 2nd of December. Later that morning, Sean awoke around 11 o'clock. He rushed to get ready, telling his roommates he was late for work. A witness later reported seeing him leave his apartment around 11:30. He was dressed in a black or grey hooded sweatshirt, a black dress shirt, black pants, and brown dress shoes. With his blonde hair, which he sometimes dyed brown, and striking blue eyes, he was easily recognizable. Importantly, Sean did not take any belongings with him that might suggest he intended to leave for good. What happened next only deepened the mystery. Instead of arriving at work, Sean began posting a series of 16 photographs to his Facebook profile. Those who knew him well described this behavior as completely out of character. These images were unusual, and friends and family immediately felt that something about them was troubling. Days passed with no further contact, and on the 6th of December, Sean was officially reported missing. As investigators and loved ones searched for answers, Sean's case began to be connected to a disturbing pattern known as the California Five. Within a span of 3 years, 5 young men disappeared from the San Francisco area under similarly unexplained circumstances. Jackson Miller vanished on the 15th of May, 2010. Cameron Remmer went missing on the 6th of October, 2011. Sean himself disappeared on the 2nd of December, 2011. Christian Hughes was last seen on the 7th of February, 2013. Finally, Sean Siddy vanished on the 21st of May, 2013. The connection between these cases has fueled speculation and fear, but no definitive explanation has ever emerged. Sean Dickerson's disappearance remains unsolved, leaving behind a haunting mystery. He was a young man with dreams, friends, and a future, whose sudden absence continues to be felt by all who loved him. The strange case of Christian Michael Hughes. Christian Michael Hughes was only 20 years old when he vanished under mysterious circumstances in San Francisco, California. His disappearance on the 7th of February 2013 has left his family, friends, and investigators searching for answers ever since. What began as a short trip from San Diego to San Francisco turned into a tragedy that continues to raise questions, with no clear explanation of what truly happened to him. On the 4th of February, Christian boarded a flight from the San Diego International Airport to San Francisco. His plan was simple: stay with a friend for a night, and then return home a few days later. He was scheduled to arrive back in San Diego by 2:30 in the afternoon on the 7th of February. That flight was never taken. Instead, Christian disappeared after leaving his friend's home in the early hours of that morning. According to his friend, Christian had packed his belongings and walked out of the residence at around 1 o'clock. He had very little money and no access to a car. His cellular phone, which might have provided vital clues, was turned off and has never been activated again. That single step outside the house marked the last confirmed sighting of him, and from that point onward, he seemed to vanish without a trace. The absence of leads made his case particularly difficult. In the spring of 2014, possible sightings of Christian were reported on Haight Street in San Francisco. Witnesses described a young man with long hair, accompanied by a blonde woman. What drew attention was the presence of distinctive tattoos running along his arms, features that matched Christian's appearance. Yet despite these details, the sightings were never confirmed, leaving the possibility uncertain and the mystery unsolved. For his family, the loss has been devastating. His mother shared that Christian had been facing health challenges before he went missing. Compounding his struggles was the recent passing of his father, a loss that weighed heavily on him. She expressed deep concern for his mental well-being at the time, fearing that his state of mind may have made him vulnerable. Law enforcement agencies in both San Francisco and San Diego became involved in the investigation. While authorities have stated that they do not believe foul play was involved, the circumstances remain troubling. A young man leaving a friend's home with no money, no transportation, and no working phone, only to disappear indefinitely, is far from ordinary. Despite countless hours of effort, no definitive evidence has surfaced to explain his fate. The mystery of Christian Hughes continues to haunt those who knew him. His story has become one of the most chilling examples of unexplained disappearances in California, leaving behind unanswered questions and a family desperate for closure. Each passing year underscores the strange silence surrounding his case, a silence that deepens the mystery of what truly happened to Christian on that February morning in 2013. Tom and Eileen Lonergan disappearance. In January 1998, Tom and Eileen Lonergan went on a group scuba diving excursion to the Coral Sea. However, they were unintentionally left behind and were never heard from again. Tom and Eileen Lonergan, an American married couple, departed Port Douglas, Australia by boat with a party on January 25, 1998. They were heading to one of the most well-liked dive sites in the Great Barrier Reef, St. Crispin's Reef. However, a terrible thing was going to happen. They were apparently mistakenly abandoned at sea and left in open water during the dive. Both of them vanished from sight, and their precise whereabouts are still a horrifying mystery. After spending a year in Fiji as Peace Corps volunteers, Tom and Eileen were returning home on that late January day. On their journey, they made a detour in Queensland, Australia, so they could dive the greatest coral reef system in the world. The scuba boat carried 26 tourists who were booked through the diving business Outer Edge. The boat's skipper, Jeffrey Nairn, took the lead as they sailed to their target, which was located 25 miles off the coast of Queensland. The travellers entered the Coral Sea by donning their diving equipment and jumping in. That's about all that is discernible about Tom and Eileen Lonergan. It's possible that the couple will break the surface after around 40 minutes of scuba diving. They see nothing except a bright blue sky and ocean that stretches to the horizon. There isn't a boat ahead or behind, just two lost divers who discover their crew has abandoned them. It is not always fatal to leave divers behind. However, in this instance, it took too long for someone to realize that Tom and Eileen weren't on the returning boat. Unsettlingly, diving weights were discovered at the bottom by another Outer Edge-led dive group that visited the location the day after the event. One of the crew members merely called the discovery a bonus find. It took 2 days for anybody to discover that the Lonergans were missing. It was only discovered when Nairn discovered a bag on board that held their passports, wallets, and other items. There was a major search underway as alarm bells rang. Rescue crews from the air and the sea searched for the pair lost for 3 days. The search included participation from civilian vessels as well as the Navy. Part of the Lonergans' dive equipment washed up on the beach, discovered by rescue personnel. Among these was a dive slate, a device for taking notes underwater. Their parents denied this theory, claiming that the entries had been misinterpreted. Most people agreed that the pair drowned or was devoured by sharks as a result of being dehydrated and confused. Coroner Noel Noonan accused Nairn of unlawfully taking the life of the individuals in a pending court case. Noonan stated that the skipper should ensure safety measures are carried out and be vigilant for the safety of passengers. Given the quantity and gravity of the errors, Noonan was confident that a fair jury would find Mr. Nairn guilty based on criminal evidence. Nairn was declared innocent. However, the business was forced out of business after admitting guilt to carelessness and receiving a fine. The case of Tom and Eileen Lonergan also led to tighter safety rules from the government, such as headcount verification and other identification procedures. Based on the tragic circumstances of Tom and Eileen Lonergan's final dive and untimely disappearance, the 2003 film Open Water was released. The Horned Beast of Bahia, Brazil. During the hot summer months in the state of Bahia, located in the country of Brazil, it is not uncommon for a large influx of American tourists to make use of the coastal towns as a summer getaway vacation area. It was during these pristine tourism months that a mysterious image emerged from the area of Bahia, Brazil, of what could only be described as a demonic-looking humanoid horned beast that can be seen in crystal clarity to be bathing in a muddy river surrounded by dense mangrove trees while carrying what appears to be a young human dangling in its arms. Although there is little reliable information surrounding the image circulating across the internet, countless sources cite that the image was taken by a young female American tourist believed to be only 15 years old, of whom saw the strange creature and took a quick photo before fleeing the region. Given the incredible clarity of the image, many believed that if the photo is faked, it would have to have been via the use of practical effects or a misidentification on the part of the young girl who took the picture. Some have tried to explain away the photograph, claiming that the creature seen in the image is nothing more than a clam fisherman, as the area is commonly known for clam fishing, with many clam fishermen using secluded areas as their own personal hotspots. However, the image shows a man completely covered in mud from head to toe, with his mouth, eyes and skin completely grey in colour, with no inch of pinkish flesh or human features. The horns on the creature have been dismissed as nothing more than possible mud-crusted hair that was pointing in different directions. However, the image clearly shows the creature to have a bald, dome-like head with sharp protrusions from the side, with no other clumping of hair visible. Every skeptic explanation also fails to address what appears to be the body of a limp child dangling from the creature's arms. Continued sightings have been made over the years surrounding the Bahia horned beast, leaving many to wonder if the dense forestry and unclaimed natural land hides a dark and sinister entity, taking advantage of the countless number of people who go missing every year. No further evidence has been gathered surrounding the creature. Thylacine caught on trail camera. The thylacine, also known as the Tasmanian tiger, has long been considered extinct, with the last confirmed sighting occurring in the 1930s. This marsupial carnivore, native to Tasmania, mainland Australia and New Guinea, was a unique creature, resembling a cross between a wolf and a large cat, with distinctive stripes on its back. Despite its declared extinction, reports of thylacine sightings have persisted over the decades, fueling speculation that this elusive animal may still roam the remote wilderness of Australia. In recent years, a trail camera in the Australian outback reportedly captured images of a creature that many believe could be a thylacine, reigniting hope and controversy in equal measure. In recent years, the possibility that the thylacine may still exist has captured the imagination of both the public and the scientific community. Despite being officially declared extinct, sporadic reports of thylacine sightings have continued to emerge, primarily from remote areas of Tasmania and mainland Australia. These sightings are often dismissed as misidentifications of other animals, such as wild dogs or foxes, but the allure of discovering a living thylacine has kept the legend alive. The recent trail camera sighting, which occurred in a remote region of Australia, has sparked renewed interest and debate. The trail camera, set up by a local wildlife enthusiast to monitor native species, captured several images of a large, striped animal moving through the underbrush. The creature in the photographs has a striking resemblance to the thylacine, with its elongated body, distinctive stripes, and stiff, straight tail. Unlike other native Australian animals, such as the dingo or fox, this animal's posture and markings align closely with historical descriptions and images of the thylacine. The images quickly spread across social media and news outlets, with many speculating that this could be definitive proof that the thylacine has survived in the wild, hidden from human detection for nearly a century. Cryptozoologists, conservationists, and wildlife experts have weighed in, with opinions ranging from cautious optimism to outright skepticism. Some experts suggest that the images could indeed depict a thylacine, while others argue that the animal is more likely a fox or dog with unusual markings. The trail camera sighting has reignited a long-standing debate about the possibility of the thylacine's survival. Supporters of the idea argue that the remote and rugged terrain of Tasmania and parts of mainland Australia could easily harbour a small population of thylacines, allowing them to avoid human contact for decades. They point to the persistence of sightings, The discovery of preserved thylacine remains, and now the trail camera images as evidence that the species might not be extinct after all. Critics, however, caution against jumping to conclusions based on blurry or ambiguous photographs. They point out that many reported thylacine sightings have been debunked or attributed to other animals. If the trail camera images do indeed show a living thylacine, the implications would be profound. The rediscovery of the thylacine would be one of the most significant conservation stories of the century, offering hope for other species thought to be extinct. It would prompt a re-evaluation of the thylacine's habitat and lead to efforts to protect and study any surviving population. For Tasmania and Australia as a whole, the return of the thylacine would also carry cultural significance. The thylacine is an iconic symbol of Tasmania, representing both the island's unique wildlife and the tragic consequences of human impact on the environment. Its rediscovery would challenge the narrative of loss and extinction, offering a second chance to protect and preserve this remarkable species. Dogman caught on trail camera. In the quiet, rural landscapes of Indiana, a local man set up a trail camera to monitor wildlife on his property. The camera was intended to capture images of deer, raccoons, or perhaps the occasional coyote, but what it recorded one fateful night in the dense woods would become a source of fear, fascination, and debate. The man's trail camera captured an image of what appeared to be a humanoid dog-like creature, something that defied all conventional explanations and raised the chilling possibility that the legends of the Dogman, a creature long spoken of in whispers and campfire tales, might be more than just myth. The Dogman, a cryptid that has been part of American folklore for decades, is often described as a large bipedal creature with the body of a man and the head of a dog or wolf. The man who captured the image on his trail camera was a lifelong resident of Indiana, well acquainted with the local wildlife and the rhythms of nature in the area. He had placed the camera on his property, deep in the woods, to monitor deer activity during the night. The camera, triggered by motion, was set to take a series of photos whenever something moved in front of its lens. For weeks, the images were typical: deer, raccoons, the occasional coyote. But then came the night when the camera recorded something entirely unexpected. The image, taken just after midnight, showed a large, upright figure moving through the trees. At first glance, it appeared to be a man, but on closer inspection, the figure's elongated limbs, posture, and distinctly canine head became apparent. The creature stood on two legs, its body covered in what looked like fur, and its eyes glowed in the darkness, reflecting the camera's infrared flash. The figure's proportions were unnatural, too tall and too thin to be human, yet unmistakably humanoid in its form. When the man reviewed the images the next morning, he was both shocked and terrified by what he saw. Unsure of what to do, he initially kept the photos to himself, fearing ridicule or disbelief if he shared them with others. However, the unsettling nature of the image weighed on him, and after a few days, he decided to post the photo to a local social media page, hoping to get some answers, or at least see if anyone else had encountered something similar. The reaction was immediate and intense. The photo quickly spread beyond the local community, capturing the attention of cryptid enthusiasts, paranormal investigators, and curious onlookers from across the country. Some users expressed disbelief, insisting the image had to be a hoax or a case of mistaken identity, perhaps a person in a costume or a large, unusually shaped animal distorted by the camera's angle. Others, however, believed the photo was genuine and saw it as evidence that the Dogman, a creature long considered to be a myth, might actually exist. The debate over the authenticity of the Dogman photo quickly divided those who saw it. Skeptics argued that the image was either an elaborate hoax or the result of a misidentification. They pointed out that trail cameras, while useful for capturing wildlife, can sometimes produce distorted images, especially when capturing something moving quickly in low light. A person wearing a costume, or even a large animal like a bear standing on its hind legs, could easily be mistaken for something more sinister in the right conditions. However, for those who believe in the existence of cryptids, the photo was a powerful piece of evidence supporting the idea that creatures like the Dogman could be real. They pointed to the consistency of Dogman sightings across the Midwest, with similar descriptions of a large bipedal creature with a canine head appearing in reports from Michigan, Wisconsin, and now Indiana. For these believers, the image was not just a trick of the light or a case of mistaken identity. It was a rare glimpse of a creature that has managed to elude capture and remain hidden in the shadows for centuries. The Kaluppiluit. Inuit mythology, rich with tales that reflect the harsh and unforgiving Arctic environment, is filled with creatures and beings that embody the fears, lessons, and values of this ancient culture. Among these, the Kaluppiluk, or Kaluppiluit, stands out as one of the most mysterious and terrifying figures. These marine creatures, often described as having scaly and bumpy skin similar to that of a sculpin, are believed to inhabit the icy waters surrounding the Arctic regions. Known for their ugliness and their foul stench of sulfur, the creatures are feared not only for their appearance, but for the danger they pose to those who wander too close to the water's edge, particularly children. The Kaluppiluit are often depicted as grotesque humanoid beings with features that seem to blend those of humans and fish. Their scaly, bumpy skin is reminiscent of the Arctic sculpin, a fish commonly found in the cold waters of the region. This rough, uninviting texture of their skin adds to their fearsome reputation, as does their distinctly unpleasant odor, which is said to reek of sulfur. The stench is so strong that it is believed to be a warning sign of their presence, a foul smell that precedes their arrival and sends shivers down the spine of anyone who catches a whiff of it. These creatures are also described as having long, sharp claws and teeth, further emphasizing their predatory nature. Their eyes are often said to glow with an eerie light, capable of seeing through the dark, murky waters in which they dwell. Despite their fearsome appearance, the creatures are not merely mindless monsters. They are cunning and intelligent, using their wits to lure unsuspecting victims into the water. In Inuit mythology, the Kaluppiluit are often viewed as guardians of the sea, creatures that serve to protect the waters from those who would disrespect or harm them. They are said to dwell beneath the ice, emerging only when someone ventures too close to the water. According to legend, the Kaluppiluit wait patiently for the opportunity to snatch people and drag them into the depths, never to be seen again. This aspect of the Kaluppiluit legend serves as a cautionary tale, warning children and adults alike to be mindful of their surroundings and to respect the dangerous power of the sea. The icy waters of the Arctic are treacherous, and the Kaluppiluit are a personification of the perils that lie beneath the surface. By teaching children to fear the Kaluppiluit, Inuit parents impart important lessons about safety and survival in a harsh environment where one misstep can mean the end of your life. The legend of the Kaluppiluit has endured for centuries, passed down through oral traditions from one generation to the next. While the specific details of the myth may vary from one Inuit community to another, the core elements of the Kaluppiluit story remain consistent. They are fearsome, predatory creatures that dwell in the cold, dark waters of the Arctic, and they serve as a reminder of the dangers that lurk beneath the ice. In modern times, the Kaluppiluit continues to capture the imagination, not only of the Inuit people, but of those who are drawn to the rich tapestry of Arctic mythology. The mystery of the kappa. In Japanese folklore, the kappa stands out as one of the most intriguing and multifaceted creatures. These water-dwelling beings are often depicted as small, roughly humanoid in form, and about the size of a small adult. The kappa's scaly skin ranges in color from green to yellow or blue, and they are characterized by their ape-like faces, scraggly green hair, and an unusual feature, a small dish-like depression on the top of their heads, which holds water and is said to be the source of their power. The kappa is a creature of contrasts, embodying both mischief and malevolence, but also wisdom and the ability to form bonds with humans. Kappa are typically described as being about the size of a small adult, with a build that is both humanoid and slightly amphibious. Their skin, often likened to that of a frog, is scaly and can vary in color, ranging from green to yellow or blue, depending on the story or the region in which the tale is told. This coloration allows the kappa to blend into the water and vegetation of the rivers, ponds, and marshes where they are said to dwell. One of the most distinctive features of the kappa is their face, which is described as being ape-like, with a beak-like mouth and wide, expressive eyes. This combination of human and animal traits gives the kappa an unsettling appearance, straddling the line between the familiar and the alien. The kappa's hair is often depicted as scraggly and green, further emphasizing their connection to the natural, watery environments they inhabit. However, the most unique and important feature of the kappa is the dish-like depression on the top of their heads, which is filled with water. This water is believed to be the source of the kappa's strength and power, and if the water is spilled, the kappa is rendered weak or even incapacitated. This vulnerability is a key aspect of many kappa legends, as it provides a way for humans to outsmart or defeat the creature. Kappa are often portrayed as mischievous tricksters, prone to causing trouble for humans. They are known for playing pranks, such as pulling people into the water, stealing crops, or harassing livestock. These pranks can range from the relatively harmless to the dangerous, depending on the kappa's mood and the situation. Kappa are also notorious for their obsession with cucumbers, which are said to be their favorite food. In some tales, villagers would toss cucumbers into the water to appease the kappa and prevent them from causing mischief. Despite their small size, kappa are incredibly strong and can easily overpower a human, especially if they manage to drag their victim into the water. They are particularly dangerous to children, whom they are said to drown or devour. Some stories even depict kappa as malevolent beings who attack and take out those who venture too close to their watery homes. In these tales, the kappa is a creature to be feared, a reminder of the dangers that lurk in the natural world. In addition to their mischievous behavior, kappa also has a darker side. They are sometimes described as bloodthirsty creatures who seek out humans to satisfy their gruesome appetites. One of the most infamous aspects of the kappa's behavior is their supposed desire to extract an from their victims. This organ is believed to be a source of great power or nourishment for the kappa. However, not all interactions with kappa are negative. In some stories, kappa are portrayed as creatures of honor who, if treated with respect, can be persuaded to help humans. For example, it is said that if one bows to a kappa, the creature will feel compelled to bow in return. This act would cause the water in the kappa's head to spill, rendering it powerless and allowing the human to escape or bargain with the creature. In some cases, kappa have even been known to form friendships with humans, offering their wisdom or assistance in exchange for kindness or offerings of food. The mysterious beast of bears creature. In the vast, untamed landscapes of southern Texas, Florida, Virginia, and possibly even Arkansas, stories have long circulated about a fearsome creature known as the beast of bears. This cryptid, said to resemble a large bear with numerous scars and patches of missing fur, has captured the imaginations of locals and cryptozoologists alike. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, reports of encounters with this mysterious beast persist, fueling speculation and intrigue about what might be lurking in the forests and swamps of the American South. The beast of bears is typically described as a creature that closely resembles a bear, but with some notable and unsettling differences. Witnesses report that the beast is covered in scars, suggesting that it has been involved in numerous battles or has suffered significant injuries over time. These scars, combined with patches of fur loss, give the creature a ragged, almost ghostly appearance, as though it is a survivor of countless struggles in the wild. The beast is said to be of considerable size, often described as larger than a typical black bear, with a muscular build that emphasizes its physical strength. Its fur, where it remains intact, is usually depicted as dark and coarse, further contributing to its intimidating presence. The combination of its scarred body, missing fur, and overall rugged appearance gives the beast of bears an aura of menace, making it a creature that inspires both fear and fascination. Witnesses have also reported that the beast moves with surprising agility for its size, often appearing suddenly before vanishing into the underbrush with uncanny speed. Its eyes are sometimes described as glowing or reflecting light in an eerie manner, adding to the sense that this is no ordinary animal, but rather a creature of mystery and perhaps even the supernatural. Southern Texas, with its vast wilderness areas and dense thickets, is one of the primary regions where sightings of the beast of bears have been reported. Local hunters, ranchers, and campers have shared stories of encountering the creature, often describing how it emerged from the shadows, only to disappear just as quickly. In some accounts, the beast is seen foraging or moving through the brush, while in others, it is reported to have exhibited aggressive behavior, such as charging at intruders or emitting terrifying growls that echo through the night. The Texas landscape, with its mix of arid plains, forests, and river valleys, provides an ideal setting for such a cryptid to remain hidden, only occasionally crossing paths with humans. Some believe that the beast of bears is a reclusive creature, avoiding human contact as much as possible, which could explain why sightings are relatively rare and often fleeting. In Florida, the legend of the beast of bears takes on a slightly different character. The state's extensive swamps and wilderness areas, particularly in the Everglades and the forests of northern Florida, are home to a wide variety of wildlife, including bears. It is in these dense, murky environments that the beast of bears is said to dwell. Sightings in Florida often emphasize the creature's elusive nature, with reports of it moving silently through the swamps, leaving behind only large, unusual tracks as evidence of its presence. The idea of a large, scarred beast lurking in the Florida swamps fits well with the state's history of cryptid legends, including the skunk ape, a big foot-like creature that has been reported in the region for decades. The beast of bears is often considered a relative or counterpart to the skunk ape, adding another layer of mystery to the Florida wilderness. Virginia, with its rolling hills and thick forests, is another area where the beast of bears has reportedly been seen. Here, the creature is sometimes associated with the region's history of wilderness exploration and settlement, with stories suggesting that it has roamed these lands for centuries, long before European settlers arrived. Some believe that the beast of bears might be a remnant of a larger population of similar creatures that once inhabited the region, now reduced to just a few elusive survivors. In Arkansas, where the creature's presence is less well documented, the beast of bears is still part of local folklore, with occasional reports of a mysterious bear-like creature seen in the Ozark Mountains or other remote areas. The idea that the beast of bears could inhabit such a wide range of habitats, from the swamps of Florida to the forests of Virginia, suggests that it is a highly adaptable creature, capable of surviving in various environments across the southeastern United States. One theory about the beast of bears is that it could be a relic from a bygone era, a species that has managed to survive in isolated pockets of the American South. This idea is rooted in the possibility that the creature could be a descendant of prehistoric bears or other large mammals that once roamed North America. While most of these species went extinct thousands of years ago, some cryptozoologists speculate that a few individuals might have survived in remote areas, evolving into the creature known as the beast of bears. Another explanation for the beast of bears is that it is simply a case of misidentification. Bears, particularly those that have been injured or suffer from diseases like mange, can develop scars and lose patches of fur, giving them an unusual and frightening appearance. In the dim light of early morning or dusk, a bear in this condition might be mistaken for something far more sinister. This theory suggests that the legend of the beast of bears is based on sightings of real animals, albeit animals that are in poor health or unusual circumstances. As of right now, the beast of bears is a cryptid that embodies the fascination and fear of the unknown that has always been a part of human experience. The reports of a large, scarred and ragged creature roaming the wilds of southern Texas, Florida, Virginia, and beyond serve as a reminder that there are still mysteries in our world, waiting to be explored and understood. The Bermuda Beast. The Bermuda Triangle, a region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean bounded by points in Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico, has long been shrouded in mystery. Known for the unexplained disappearances of ships, planes, and their crews, the Bermuda Triangle has captured the imagination of researchers, scientists, and storytellers alike. Among the many theories that have emerged to explain these strange occurrences is the legend of the Bermuda Beast, a colossal creature said to inhabit the depths of the triangle, capable of leaping out of the water to catch planes in mid-air, causing them to crash, and perhaps even devouring them. The Bermuda Beast is typically described as an enormous, powerful marine predator, far larger than any known creature of the deep. According to legend, this beast is capable of leaping out of the water with incredible force and agility, snatching planes from the sky as if they were mere insects. Its size is said to be beyond comprehension, dwarfing even the largest known marine animals, such as the blue whale or the colossal squid. The beast is often depicted with a monstrous, serpentine body, covered in scales that glisten ominously in the ocean's depths, and massive jaws filled with rows of razor-sharp teeth. Some versions of the legend suggest that the Bermuda Beast possesses an almost supernatural intelligence, allowing it to anticipate the movements of planes and ships, timing its attacks with precision. The creature's ability to leap from the water and capture flying objects mid-air sets it apart from any known marine life, adding an element of terror and fascination to the legend. The Bermuda Beast is a relatively modern addition to the mythology of the Bermuda Triangle, likely inspired by the region's long-standing association with mysterious disappearances and unexplained phenomena. The idea of a colossal sea monster lurking in the depths of the triangle taps into ancient fears of the unknown and the belief that the ocean harbors creatures beyond our comprehension. Legends of sea monsters have existed for centuries, from the kraken of Norse mythology to the giant serpents of ancient mariners' tales. The Bermuda Beast can be seen as a contemporary extension of these myths, adapted to fit the modern mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. The first accounts of the Bermuda Beast likely emerged in the mid-20th century, coinciding with the height of public interest in the Bermuda Triangle mystery. As more planes and ships disappeared under unexplained circumstances, storytellers and theorists began to speculate about alternative explanations, leading to the creation of the Bermuda Beast as a possible culprit. Over time, the legend has grown, fueled by the lack of definitive answers about the true nature of the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle has been the site of numerous reported disappearances over the years, with the most famous incident being the loss of Flight 19, a squadron of 5 US Navy bombers that vanished during a training mission in 1945. Despite an extensive search, no trace of the planes or their crews was ever found. This event, along with many others, has contributed to the Triangle's reputation as a place where the laws of physics and nature seem to break down, leading to inexplicable losses of life and property. Reports of strange phenomena in the Bermuda Triangle are not limited to disappearances. Pilots and sailors have also described encountering unusual magnetic anomalies, sudden storms, and disorienting fog that suddenly appears and disappears without warning. These accounts have led to a wide range of theories, from underwater methane hydrates causing ships to sink, to disruptions in the Earth's magnetic field, to more speculative ideas involving time warps and alien abductions. The Bermuda Beast legend offers a dramatic and terrifying explanation for the disappearances within the Triangle. If such a creature existed, it would provide a tangible, albeit horrifying, reason for the loss of planes and ships in the area. The idea that a colossal beast could be responsible for pulling aircraft from the sky or dragging ships beneath the waves plays into the human fear of being at the mercy of forces beyond our control. The legend also taps into the long-standing fascination with sea monsters, blending this ancient fear with the modern mystery of the Bermuda Triangle. The legend of the Bermuda Beast, like many cryptid stories, serves as a way for people to explain the unexplainable. In a world where science and technology provide answers to so many of life's questions, the Bermuda Triangle remains one of the few places where mystery still holds sway. The Bermuda Beast embodies the idea that there are still corners of the Earth where the unknown reigns supreme, where human understanding has not yet penetrated. Stories of monsters and mysterious creatures have always been a way for cultures to process fear and uncertainty, to give shape to the anxieties that lie just below the surface of human consciousness. The Bermuda Beast is no different. It represents the fear of the unknown, of being caught in the grip of something far beyond human comprehension or control. The Bermuda Beast, while not as widely known as some other cryptids, has become part of the broader mythology surrounding the Bermuda Triangle. It appears in discussions of the Triangle's mysteries, in speculative fiction, and in the imaginations of those who wonder what might really be causing the disappearances in this notorious region. The beast serves as a symbol of the primal fears that the ocean and the unknown still evoke, even in an age of satellites, submarines, and deep-sea exploration. The Conrit. The ocean is a vast, largely unexplored frontier that has fueled countless legends and tales of mysterious creatures lurking beneath its waves. Among these tales is the legend of the Conrit, a cryptid from Vietnam that has captured the imagination of both locals and cryptozoologists alike. Described as an enormous oceanic centipede, the Conrit is said to inhabit the waters off the southeastern coast of Vietnam. Its body is reportedly segmented with bony plates, and it uses fish-like fins to swim through the deep. The conrit's legend gained particular attention in the 1920s when Dr. A. Krempf, the director of the Oceanographic and Fisheries Service of Indochina, conducted initial research into the creature. The conrit is described as an enormous centipede-like creature with a long, segmented body that can reach lengths of up to 60 feet or more, according to some accounts. Each segment of its body is covered in a bony plate, giving it an armored appearance reminiscent of prehistoric creatures. These bony segments are believed to protect the conrit from predators, while also allowing it to move with flexibility and speed in the water. One of the most distinctive features of the conrit is its method of locomotion. Unlike terrestrial centipedes, which rely on their numerous legs to move, the conrit is said to possess fish-like fins along its body. These fins, located between the segments, allow the creature to swim through the ocean with ease, propelling itself forward in a serpentine motion. This combination of centipede-like segmentation and aquatic adaptation makes the conrit a unique and terrifying presence in the waters where it is said to dwell. The legend of the creature has deep roots in Vietnamese folklore, where it is often depicted as a fearsome sea monster capable of sinking boats and devouring sailors. The name conrit itself is derived from the Vietnamese word for centipede, reflecting the creature's distinctive segmented appearance. Stories of the creature have been passed down through generations of fishermen and coastal communities who have long regarded the creature as a formidable force of nature. Maritime tales of the conrit often describe encounters with the creature in the open sea, where it is said to rise from the depths without warning, its massive body undulating through the water. These stories, though varied in their details, consistently portray the conrit as a powerful and dangerous creature, one that should be respected and feared by those who venture into its territory. Dr. A. Krempf's research. Dr. Krempf conducted research and interviewed an eyewitness who allegedly made physical contact with a stranded conrit in 1833. Tran Van Con discovered the initial carcass, which he described as measuring 60 feet in length and 3 feet in width. In 1899, HMS Narcissus was navigating in the vicinity of Cape Falcon, Algeria, when a number of men on board observed what they referred to as a marine creature. The experts approximated its length to be around 135 feet and asserted that the creature had a substantial quantity of fins, which they stated drove it through the water with sufficient velocity to match the ship's speed. The observers scrutinized the creature for around 30 minutes prior to its submergence and subsequent vanishing. In 1883, a group of Vietnamese individuals discovered a beheaded cadaver that had been carried by the waves and deposited on the coast of Hong Gai, Vietnam. The head was absent, however. The body consisted of articulated joints that emitted a resonating sound similar to that of sheet metal when impacted. As to the report, the decomposing body emitted such a strong odor that it had to be hauled away and disposed of in the ocean. As with many cryptids, the existence of the conrit is a subject of debate among scientists and cryptozoologists. Skeptics argue that the creature is likely a misidentification of known marine animals, such as oarfish or giant squid, which can grow to impressive lengths and exhibit unusual behaviors that might be mistaken for those of a giant centipede. The oarfish, in particular, is a long, slender fish that can reach lengths of up to 36 feet and is known for its undulating swimming motion, which could easily be mistaken for a segmented, finned creature like the conrit. Another possibility is that the conrit legend is based on encounters with marine invertebrates that are not yet fully understood by science. The deep ocean is home to many strange and unusual creatures, some of which have only been discovered in recent years. It is conceivable that a previously unknown species of marine arthropod, or a distant relative of the Eurypterids, could inhabit the waters of Southeast Asia, contributing to the legend of the conrit. Regardless of the scientific explanations, the conrit remains a powerful symbol in Vietnamese culture and folklore. Like many cryptids, the conrit serves as a reminder of the mysteries that still exist in the natural world, particularly in the vast and largely unexplored oceans. The creature's fearsome reputation and the stories that surround it reflect the deep respect and awe that coastal communities have for the sea, which has both sustained and threatened their way of life for centuries. The conrit also embodies the human fascination with the unknown and the desire to explore the boundaries of knowledge. The legend of the conrit challenges us to consider the possibility that there are still creatures lurking in the depths that have yet to be discovered, and that the natural world is far more complex and wondrous than we can imagine. The conrit remains one of the more enigmatic cryptids in the field of cryptozoology, with its existence still unproven and its true nature a subject of speculation. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, the legend of the conrit continues to captivate the imagination of those who hear it, inspiring curiosity and wonder about what might be hiding in the deep waters off the coast of Vietnam. The research conducted by Dr. A. Krempf in the 1920s helped to bring the conrit into the realm of scientific inquiry, highlighting the importance of keeping an open mind when it comes to the unexplained. While the conrit may never be conclusively proven to exist, the legend serves as a reminder of the mysteries that still await discovery in the natural world. The mysterious organism 46b. Organism 46b is said to inhabit Lake Vostok, which is situated at a depth of almost 700 feet beneath the glacial surface of the ice in its shallowest section, and around 2,600 feet at its deepest region. At this particular depth, the ice from the Antarctic glaciers experiences sufficient pressure to undergo melting and give rise to profound lakes. Organism 46b dwells within Lake Vostok, one of these deep lakes. An allegedly leaked paper pertaining to the initial endeavors conducted by Russian researchers on February 5, 2012, during their drilling expedition to the lake's surface, mentioned the existence of a species identified as Organism 46b. The report, titled Organism 46b, described a peculiar account by Russian scientists who allegedly came across a colossal squid of immense proportions residing in the lake. According to the report, this creature had the ability to release toxins into the water, compress its body into smaller dimensions, assume unusual shapes, alter its physical colors, and induce a mild form of hypnotism if observed for an extended period of time. Here are quotes from the letter written by a man named Dr. Anton Padalka. We encountered Organism 46b on our first day. It disabled our radio, which we later learned, to our alarm, was intentional. It's also able to paralyze prey from a distance of up to 150 feet by releasing its venom into the water. Tragically, my colleague and lifelong friend was taken out this way. He was treading water, wearing a blissful smile as the organism approached him. It was as if it had hypnotized him telepathically. It shaped itself into the form of a human diver. We thought it was one of my colleagues swimming towards us in scuba gear. By the time the closest scientist had realized what it had grabbed him and torn him to bits. End quote. According to certain versions of the narrative, it is said that one of the creature's tentacles was amputated, but later regained animation and strangled another team member. According to the legend, only a small number of individuals from the expedition survived, and Russian officials apprehended the creature in an effort to conceal the incident. Although Organism 46b possesses extraordinary skills, its reported characteristics closely resemble those of real-world squid and octopus beings. Each capacity attributed to Organism 46b aligns well with the abilities observed in deep-sea cephalopods, which inhabit an environment characterized by comparable conditions of light, pressure, and water quality. This analysis of the possible capacity for telepathic abilities in the creature, as well as a scientific explanation of how this talent could be understood. Comprehending the telepathic capabilities of Organism 46b is a challenging and almost unattainable task, given that the mechanics behind telepathy remain mostly elusive in contemporary times. Nevertheless, it is possible to speculate about the factors that could potentially account for the telepathic skills of certain marine species based on assumptions and available evidence. It is crucial to acknowledge that there is much evidence and scientific research in the field of neuroscience, which aims to decode the seemingly random electrical impulses of neurons into usable information that can be shown or comprehended. In 1999, a research investigation conducted by Dan Yang at the University of California, Berkeley, effectively replicated a cat's visual perception of the real world using raw data obtained from visual neurons. The utilization of poisons derived from Organism 46b appears to be based on actual instances of cephalopods employing minute quantities of deadly toxins in contemporary times. The blue-ringed octopus is a small octopus, approximately the size of a golf ball, that possesses a potent venom capable of causing the death of 26 adult males if injected. The blue-ringed octopus possesses various peculiar talents, including the capacity for jet propulsion. It achieves this by channeling water, enabling it to move significantly faster in the water than other marine species. Organism 46b may potentially exhibit these skills and have the capability to expel poison, similar to an ink sac, in order to immobilize larger species. This is assuming the veracity of the size of the creature. If the assertions regarding Organism 46b are to be accepted as true, the creature possesses the subsequent capabilities that have enabled it to eliminate multiple persons within an exceptionally brief period. The implications of this finding means that if someone could create a technology so sensitive and accurate in picking up electromagnetic fields or electrical stimuli, one could remotely detect these occurrences coming from the human brain and work to gather the data required to translate your thoughts and brain signals into readable information. If we take this theory of data retrieval from the brains of animals via sensing electrical impulses and changes in the electromagnetic field, then there is evidence of evolution granting this ability amongst life here on Earth. Referred to as electroreception, it's a sense that humans do not seem to possess that gives animals the ability to perceive natural electrical stimuli in other forms of life around them. Electroreception on Earth has only been seen to occur almost exclusively in aquatic life or amphibious animals that spend their time in saltwater, since saltwater is a much better natural conductor compared to surrounding air. In fact, this ability is so sensitive that young sharks can recognize the specific characteristics and traits of electrical stimuli amongst predators and hide before the creature even comes within sight. Given the fact that Organism 46b is expected to live its entire life in a completely dark underwater environment, it's possible that the species could have evolved a complex form of electroreception for its survival. Here is a detailed writing surrounding the theoretical ability of hypnotic traits within Organism 46b, and how the ability could be scientifically explained. Squids are one of the very few species in the world that can camouflage and change the pigments of their skin so rapidly that they can make a variety of colors. Additionally, the glass squid species is capable of using bioluminescence in a deep-sea environment to temporarily stun fish and seemingly hypnotize them to be consumed. Given the depth and the lack of light deep within the underground Lake Vostok, it's of a high probability that if large marine animals were to exist within the trapped lake, they would also possess evolutionary abilities to generate bioluminescence. Bioluminescence tied with a squid's ability to alter the color of the pigments of their skin could create seizure-inducing colors and shapes that could temporarily cause an individual to become hypnotized or undergo a seizure if looking directly at the creature. This could explain the hypnotic effects as reported in the leaked document surrounding the creature. Here is a detailed writing surrounding the theoretical ability of shape-shifting traits within Organism 46b and how the ability could be scientifically explained. Given the lack of bones or large deposits of cartilage within an octopus, the species is capable of squeezing through small openings and shrinking their body size down to impossible sizes. In fact, a 600-pound octopus is capable of pushing its entire body through a hole the size of a quarter. As long as an opening is large enough to allow the creature to fit its beak through, it will travel through the opening with relative ease. It's for this reason that the claim of shape-shifting abilities of Organism 46b are realistic to the species of which it seems to have evolved from. Additionally, a borehole the size of 123 millimeters would have been more than enough of a size to fit its body through if it were to make an attempt to reach the surface of the glacier. The mystery of the Alaskan giant polar bear. The vast and untamed wilderness of Alaska has long been a hotbed of mystery and intrigue, with tales of strange creatures and unexplained phenomena lurking in its remote forests and icy tundra. Among the most intriguing of these mysteries is the legend of the Alaskan giant polar bear, a cryptid said to roam the icy expanses of the last frontier. Described as a massive and fearsome creature, the Alaskan giant polar bear is said to dwarf its more common counterparts, standing at towering heights of up to 15 feet. Its fur is said to be thick and white, providing perfect camouflage against the snow-covered landscape, while its razor-sharp claws and powerful jaws make it a formidable predator. Reports of encounters with the Alaskan giant polar bear date back centuries, with indigenous Alaskan tribes recounting tales of the creature's presence in their folklore and oral traditions. According to these stories, the bear is said to possess supernatural abilities and is revered as a powerful and fearsome guardian of the wilderness. In more recent times, sightings of the Alaskan giant polar bear have been reported by hunters, trappers, and wilderness explorers who claim to have encountered the creature in remote and isolated regions of Alaska. These eyewitness accounts describe the bear as an imposing and awe-inspiring sight, with some witnesses reporting feelings of both fear and wonder in its presence. One of the most famous encounters with the Alaskan giant polar bear occurred in the early 20th century, when a group of gold prospectors stumbled upon a massive bear while exploring the rugged terrain of the Alaskan wilderness. According to their accounts, the bear appeared suddenly out of the mist, its enormous size and ferocious demeanor striking fear into the hearts of the men. Despite their best efforts to defend themselves, the prospectors were no match for the creature's immense strength and were forced to flee for their lives. A woman hailing from Kodiak Island fondly recalls a remarkable incident involving her father, who once encountered and successfully defeated a colossal white bear with hairy paws. The encounter left a lasting impression on her, as she emphasized that this extraordinary bear was unlike any Kodiak bear she had ever seen before, highlighting its unique and awe-inspiring presence in the Alaskan wilderness. The majestic Alaskan giant polar bear, known to roam not only in Alaska, but also spotted in regions like Greenland, Alberta, and Quebec, has captured the attention of many with its elusive presence. Tales of encounters with this Arctic giant have sparked curiosity and awe among witnesses. For instance, a couple's remarkable account involves a rare sighting of a colossal white bear with two heads during their gondola ride amidst the winter landscapes of Alberta. Similarly, in Quebec, an intriguing incident unfolded as a French elderly woman peacefully enjoyed her hot chocolate in a cozy restaurant, only to be startled by the sight of a massive white entity resembling fur swiftly descending a hill. Despite fervent expeditions to verify such sightings, concrete evidence of these extraordinary encounters continues to elude discovery. The huge polar bears observed in the region could potentially represent a lingering group of the Ursus maritimus tyrannus, also referred to as the Pleistocene polar bear. Unlike the contemporary polar bear species, this particular bear species was notably taller by more than 11 inches. Historical records indicate the existence of this ancient bear through the discovery of a partially preserved ulna unearthed along the banks of the Thames River in close proximity to Kew Bridge, London. The History Channel introduced a gripping documentary television series called Missing in Alaska in 2015. This show delves into the mysteries of the Alaskan Triangle, an area where a puzzling phenomenon has unfolded over the past 2 decades. Each year, individuals have inexplicably vanished, believed to be linked to encounters with mythological creatures, mutated beings, cryptids, and various monsters. The disappearances are attributed to a range of theories, including involvement by paranormal or supernatural forces, extraterrestrial or alien entities, as well as being hunted or harmed by entities with ties to Native American or Eskimo folklore, such as demonic beings or ghostly entities. In the annals of modern UFO sightings, certain cases stand out not only for the strangeness of the events, but also for the unsettling consequences that follow. One such case involves a Department of Defense employee who reportedly witnessed and photographed a metallic sphere hovering above San Diego in 2014. The clear images captured during this sighting were submitted to prominent UFO research organizations, including the Mutual UFO Network and the National UFO Reporting Center. However, shortly after these photographs were published online, the witness mysteriously disappeared, adding a layer of intrigue and fear to an already mysterious event. The sighting occurred on a clear day in the summer of 2014, when a Department of Defense employee, who has remained anonymous for security reasons, observed an unusual object in the sky above San Diego. The object, described as a metallic sphere, was reportedly hovering silently at a considerable altitude. The sphere appeared to reflect the sunlight, indicating a smooth, reflective surface, and it remained stationary for several minutes before suddenly accelerating and disappearing at an incredible speed. The witness, who was familiar with various types of aircraft due to their employment, immediately recognized that the object did not resemble any known military or civilian craft. Its spherical shape, lack of visible propulsion system, and sudden disappearance were all features that distinguished it from anything the witness had encountered in their professional capacity. The employee managed to capture several high-quality images of the metallic sphere using a digital camera. These images clearly show a round, reflective object against the blue sky, with no apparent wings, engines, or other features typically associated with conventional aircraft. The photographs were taken from different angles, providing multiple perspectives of the sphere's shape and appearance. Recognizing the potential significance of the sighting, the witness decided to submit the images to the Mutual UFO Network and the National UFO Reporting Center, two of the most reputable organizations dedicated to investigating and documenting UFO sightings. Both organizations received the images and classified the case as highly credible, noting the clarity of the photographs and the reliability of the witness given their background in defense. Shortly after the images were submitted to the organizations, they were published on various online platforms, including the official websites of the organizations and several UFO enthusiast forums. The photographs quickly gained attention due to their unusual clarity and the credibility of the witness. Discussions erupted across the internet, with many speculating about the origin of the metallic sphere and whether it could be evidence of extraterrestrial technology or a highly classified military project. While some skeptics suggested that the object might be a weather balloon, drone, or other mundane explanation, the quality of the images and the witness's testimony made such explanations seem inadequate to many observers. The sighting was soon hailed as one of the most compelling UFO cases of the year. As the images circulated online, something far more disturbing occurred. The employee who had witnessed and photographed the sphere suddenly disappeared. According to reports, the witness was last seen shortly after the photographs were published, and although they allegedly did interviews and made various comments about the incident, in recent years they haven't been seen. Many have questioned whether this is because they worked for the Department of Defense. The relationship between the United States Department of Defense and unidentified flying objects has long been a subject of public fascination, speculation, and controversy. Over the decades, the Department of Defense has played a pivotal role in investigating, documenting, and at times, seemingly obscuring information related to UFO sightings and encounters. From the early days to recent revelations about secretive programs, the Department of Defense's involvement with unidentified objects reveals a complex interplay of national security concerns, scientific inquiry, and public transparency. Despite extensive searches and investigations, no trace of the individual was found. The disappearance has led to widespread speculation and concern, with some suggesting that the witness may have been silenced by governmental or other clandestine forces. The timing of the disappearance, so soon after the release of the photographs, has only fueled these suspicions. Those familiar with the case have pointed out that whistleblowers and individuals who come forward with sensitive information often face significant risks, particularly when the information pertains to national security or potentially classified technology. One of the most common theories surrounding the disappearance is that it was part of a government cover-up. The metallic sphere, if indeed an advanced technology not publicly known, could have been part of a secret military program or an unidentified craft of extraterrestrial origin. If the latter, the implications would be enormous, potentially affecting national security, public perception, and even global politics. In this context, the disappearance of the witness might have been an attempt to prevent further information from leaking or to send a message to others who might consider coming forward with similar evidence. The idea of government agencies suppressing UFO-related information is not new and has been a recurring theme in UFO lore for decades. The mysterious disappearance of the DoD employee fits neatly into this narrative, reinforcing the belief that powerful entities will go to great lengths to keep certain information hidden. Another, more speculative theory is that the disappearance was somehow related to the object itself. Some proponents of this idea suggest that the metallic sphere might have been advanced in origin and that the witness's disappearance was the result of direct intervention by the beings controlling the craft. The disappearance of the employee remains unresolved, adding a layer of mystery to an already perplexing UFO case. The photographs of the metallic sphere continue to circulate online, serving as a reminder of the sighting and the questions it raises. However, without the testimony or further input from the witness, much about the event remains unknown. The case of the metallic sphere above San Diego exemplifies the challenges and dangers that can arise when individuals encounter and attempt to share evidence of unexplained phenomena. Whether the witness's disappearance was the result of foul play, a government intervention, or something else entirely, it underscores the risks associated with challenging the status quo and bringing potentially disruptive information to light. As of right now, the sighting of the metallic sphere above San Diego and the subsequent disappearance of the witness are a stark reminder of how little we truly understand about the universe and the potential forces at play. The phenomenon of unidentified flying objects has fascinated humanity for decades, sparking curiosity, fear, and a relentless quest for the truth. While many approach the subject with a sense of wonder and scientific inquiry, there exists a darker side to UFO investigations, one in which those who delve too deeply into the mystery of UFOs may find themselves facing intimidation, harassment, and even threats. Over the years, numerous individuals who have investigated UFO sightings, shared evidence, or spoken publicly about their experiences have reported being harassed or intimidated. These threats often come in the form of anonymous phone calls, visits from mysterious individuals, or strange occurrences that seem designed to create fear and dissuade further investigation. One of the most notorious examples of such intimidation is the phenomenon of the Men in Black. Described as mysterious, often menacing figures dressed in black suits, the MIB are said to appear unannounced at the homes or workplaces of UFO witnesses and researchers, warning them to remain silent about what they have seen. While some dismiss them as an urban legend, many credible individuals have reported encounters with these figures, suggesting that there may be a real basis for the stories. Beyond these mysterious beings, there have been reports of more overt forms of harassment, such as physical surveillance, break-ins, and tampering with personal property. These actions are typically aimed at creating a sense of paranoia and fear, making it clear to the targets that their activities are being closely monitored. In more extreme cases, UFO investigators and witnesses have reported receiving direct threats to their lives or safety. These threats can be delivered in person, over the phone, or through anonymous letters. The message is usually clear: cease all investigations and public discussions about UFOs, or face severe consequences. For example, several prominent UFO researchers have claimed to have been followed by unmarked vehicles, or to have received warnings from individuals claiming to be government agents. These warnings often come with the implication that the individual's safety, or that of their family, could be at risk if they continue to pursue or disclose certain information. In some instances, these threats have led to tragic outcomes. There are cases where individuals involved in UFO research or whistleblowing have passed away under suspicious circumstances, fueling speculation that their deaths were not accidental, but were instead the result of deliberate actions taken to silence them. The case of Dr. James McDonald. Dr. James E. McDonald, a respected physicist and UFO researcher, is one of the most tragic examples of someone who may have faced consequences for his involvement in UFO investigations. In the 1960s, McDonald became one of the most vocal advocates for serious scientific study of UFOs, often clashing with government officials and skeptics. McDonald's research and public statements made him a prominent figure in the UFO community, but they also made him a target. He reportedly received threats and was subjected to intense scrutiny by government agencies. McDonald's career and personal life began to unravel, and in 1971, he passed away under mysterious circumstances. Many in the UFO community believe that McDonald's passing was directly related to his UFO research and the pressure he faced from unknown sources. One of the most commonly cited reasons for the threats and harassment faced by UFO investigators is the possibility that some UFO sightings are related to secret government projects. If certain UFOs are, in fact, advanced military aircraft or other classified technology, it stands to reason that government agencies would take steps to protect that information from being disclosed. In this context, the threats against UFO researchers could be seen as a form of damage control, aimed at preventing sensitive information from reaching the public or foreign adversaries. The use of intimidation tactics, disinformation, and even more drastic measures could be part of a larger strategy to maintain secrecy and control over information related to national security. Another theory is that the threats are related to the possibility of extraterrestrial involvement. If some UFOs are indeed of extraterrestrial origin, the implications for humanity are profound. The disclosure of such information could have far-reaching consequences for global security, religion, and societal stability. In this scenario, both government and non-governmental entities might have a vested interest in suppressing the truth about UFOs. This theory suggests that the threats against UFO investigators are part of a broader effort to prevent the public from learning the full extent of the UFO phenomenon. The existence of extraterrestrial life, particularly if it has been in contact with Earth, could be one of the most closely guarded secrets in history. One of the most compelling reasons why UFOs are perceived as a security threat is their apparent technological superiority. Reports from military pilots and radar operators have described UFOs capable of performing maneuvers that defy the laws of physics as we understand them. These objects have been observed traveling at hypersonic speeds, making sharp turns without decelerating, and hovering motionless in mid-air, all without any visible means of propulsion or aerodynamic surfaces like wings or tail fins. The presence of such advanced technology in our airspace, with no clear explanation of its origin or intent, is a cause for serious concern. If these UFOs are the product of foreign adversaries, they could represent a significant leap in technological capabilities, potentially rendering existing defense systems obsolete. Alternatively, if these objects are of extraterrestrial origin, the implications for national security are even more profound, as humanity would be faced with a technologically superior civilization operating within our atmosphere without our consent or understanding. The capabilities demonstrated by UFOs suggest that current defense systems may be vulnerable or inadequate in addressing the threat they pose. Traditional radar and missile defense systems are designed to detect and respond to known aircraft and missiles, which operate within established parameters of speed, altitude, and maneuverability. However, UFOs have consistently exhibited behaviors that fall outside these parameters, making them difficult, if not impossible, to track and engage. This vulnerability is particularly concerning for military installations, nuclear facilities, and other critical infrastructure, which could be at risk if UFOs are able to bypass or disable existing security measures. The inability to reliably detect and respond to these objects undermines the effectiveness of national defense strategies and exposes potential weaknesses that could be exploited by adversaries.